The Alexandrian Codex, an echo in the ashes. The air in the great library was not merely silent, it was heavy with the breath of centuries, a sacred hush broken only by the whisper of papyrus and the soft scuff of sandals on polished marble. For Heron, it was a cathedral of the mind. Each scrawl was a prayer, each equation a hymn to a universe yearning to be understood. He was a young man with ink-stained fingers and a soul hungry for patterns in the chaos, apprenticed to the greatest repository of knowledge the world had ever known. It was in this sanctum that Master Clemens found him, a viper in a garden of thought. Clemens was a man whose elegance was a weapon, his white robes a banner of an authority derived not from wisdom, but from patronage. Heron. Clemens's voice was a smooth, low murmur that carried unnervingly in the quiet. I trust you are preparing for the proconsul's visit. He has a particular interest in our aqueduct schematics and our treatises on siege engines. Practical things, the things that build empires and keep the peace. His eyes, the color of a winter sky, scanned Heron's desk, littered with star charts. Not more of these Babylonian fantasies, I hope. The Romans have their own gods. They do not take kindly to new ones, especially those written in geometry. Heron lowered his gaze. I seek only to understand the cosmos, Master. The cosmos is a backdrop, Clemens countered, his smile thin and sharp. The stage is Rome. Remember your place. Which reminds me, the archives await. Our resident ghost, Aristarchus, requires supervision. See that he doesn't bury himself under a mountain of his own delusions. The archives were the library's subconscious mind, a dark, cool labyrinth beneath the sunlit rationality above. The air smelled of dry rot, aged leather, and the faint, metallic tang of the intricate bronze devices that cluttered the space. And in the heart of this labyrinth sat the Minotaur, Aristarchus. He was a figure carved from time itself, his face a roadmap of wrinkles, his white beard a wild cascade. He sat amidst a constellation of scattered scrolls and whirring models of the heavens, a complex orrery of gears and polished brass spheres, clicking softly on a table beside him. I know that gate, he said, not turning from a complex diagram. It is the step of a man who serves other men, not the truth. Is it Cassius? Or the weasel Clemens, come to see if the old fool has finally died? Heron's voice was firm, clearer than he felt. My name is Heron, and I am not here for them. I am here for the Almagest of Hipparchus. I believe his calculations on planetary retrograde are flawed. Aristarchus went very still. Slowly, he turned. His eyes were not the cloudy orbs of an old man, but brilliant and sharp, burning with a fierce, undimmed light. They seemed to see not just Heron, but through him. Flawed, the old man repeated, the word hanging in the dusty air. A brave word. Most say incomplete or heretical. Sit, brave boy. Tell me of these flaws. What followed was not a lesson, but an initiation. Aristarchus spoke not of crystal spheres and a fixed earth, but of a sun, a magnificent, roaring furnace at the center of a dance of worlds. He described a universe of staggering scale, where the stars were not pinpricks in a dome, but other suns, impossibly distant. He used mathematics not as a tool for calculation, but as a language to describe this sublime reality, a language that sang of ellipses and gravitational pulls. "The truth is a quiet thing," Aristarchus whispered, his finger tracing an elliptical orbit on a dusty table. "But power is loud. Tell a king he lives on a speck of dust circling a common fire, and you do not enlighten him. You unmake him. You unravel the divine order that places his throne at the center of creation. That is a dangerous thing to do." Heron's world had been tilted on its axis. He found a confidant in Lucilla, a sharp-witted student of medicine from a respected Roman family. Their walks in the gardens were now hushed, urgent strategy sessions. "He has a book, Lucilla," Heron confessed one evening, the scent of night-blooming jasmine thick around them. "Not a scroll, a codex. He calls it the Heliocentrica. It contains everything, the proofs, the models, the mathematics. It is all there." Lucilla, her dark eyes filled with both wonder and fear, gripped his arm. "Heron, you are being watched. Clemens's shadow is always near. He doesn't see a scholar. He sees an asset or a threat. And my father, he speaks of a new decree from Rome, philosophical unity. They want one truth, their truth." The breaking point came on a night of howling wind and lashing rain. Heron found Aristarchus not at his desk, but slumped against a bookshelf, a dark stain spreading across his tunic. His breath was a ragged whisper. In his hand was a simple iron key. "They came for the inventory," he gasped. "But their eyes, they were hunting. Clemens knows. Take the key. The false column behind the statue of thought, the codex, it must not fall into their hands. It is not a book, Heron. It is a seed." With trembling hands, Heron retrieved the codex from its hidden niche. It was heavier than it looked, bound in plain, worn leather, its pages a dense forest of precise Greek and intricate diagrams. It felt alive in his hands, a sleeping mind containing a universe. He and Lucilla fled to a forgotten lighthouse keeper's storehouse by the harbor. By day, she tended to the sick. By night, they worked, cross-referencing the codex's theories, building a high-powered lens based on its optical principles. They were no longer just students. They were midwives to a new reality. But the world of power struck back. Returning to the storehouse one night, they found the door splintered, their tools smashed, their careful notes torn to shreds. The air was thick with the scent of violence. "It's a message," Lucilla said, her voice hollow. "He's not hiding anymore. The proconsul arrives at dawn. Clemens will present us as a seditious cult and the codex as our blasphemous scripture. He will burn us to secure his position." The final confrontation was not in the lofty halls, but in the library's undercroft, the heart of its secret knowledge. Clemens was there, flanked by two stony-faced Roman legionaries. The torchlight made his face a mask of shifting, greedy shadows. "Ah, the curious little scholar and his Roman whore," Clemens spat, his cultured veneer gone, replaced by raw ambition. "You have something that belongs to the library, to Rome. Give me the codex. It will be presented as a curio, a testament to Roman intellectual breadth in cataloging even the most eccentric ideas. You have my word you will be exiled, not crucified." From the darkness, Aristarchus emerged, leaning on a staff, his body broken, but his spirit a towering flame. "You trade in lies, Clemens. You would lock the truth in a cage and call it a pet. Heron, Lucilla, go. This knowledge is worth more than our old bones." As the soldiers advanced, Aristarchus met Clemens's gaze with a profound pity. "You burn books because you fear what is written in them, but you are only burning paper and ink.
But truth is written in the stars themselves. With a final, surprising surge of strength, he charged, not at the soldiers, but at Clemens, knocking them both into a towering shelf of scrolls that collapsed upon them in a cloud of dust and papyrus. The distraction was enough. Huron and Lucilla ran, the codex a burning weight against Huron's chest. They burst out onto the streets, but the sight that greeted them was not freedom, but apocalypse. The great library was on fire. It was not a simple blaze, it was a holocaust. Flames, fueled by 1,000,000 dreams, roared into the sky, turning night into a monstrous, flickering day. The heat was a physical wall. The sound was a roar of intellectual death, the scream of dying muses. They stood paralyzed, watching the soul of the world turn to ash and ember. On a ship slowly cutting through the dark waters of the Mediterranean, they watched the beacon of Alexandria, the light of the world, consumed by its own shadow. Huron held the codex, its plain leather cover cool against his fevered skin. All that knowledge, Lucilla whispered, tears cutting clean paths through the soot on her cheeks. Gone.
No, Heron said, his voice quiet but firm, his gaze fixed on the receding inferno. Not all of it. They burned a building. They burned scrolls. But they could not burn the idea. An idea is a ghost, Lucilla. It cannot be chained, and it cannot be burned. It waits, patient, for the right mind to inhabit. And we are its vessel. Years later, in Athens, the morning sun streamed into a simple, whitewashed room. Heron, his hair now touched with gray, sat with a group of young students. The codex lay open before him. A young woman pointed to a diagram. Master Heron, if the earth moves so swiftly, why do we not feel it? Heron smiled. For the same reason a sailor on a smooth, vast ocean does not feel the motion of the ship. He only sees the shore receding. We are all sailors on a great ship, my dear, sailing through an infinite sea, and we are just beginning to chart the stars. Later, alone, he opened the codex to its first page. Beneath Aristarchus's original title, he had long ago inscribed his own dedication in a steady hand. For Aristarchus of Samos, who saw the true center of our world when all others were blind. For the great library whose echo is louder than its fire. And for all who keep watch through the long night, guarding the flame of a truth that darkness cannot comprehend.